Just a handful of the streets this guy's been chased on so far this afternoon, and he's showing no signs of slowing down. And again, with these speeds, very excessive speeds, running red lights and stop signs, this puts pedestrians at risk. This puts people coming home from work at risk. People who are coming to and from anywhere they've got to go in the San Fernando Valley at risk. It also puts that driver at risk. And of course, CHP officers right on top of it with this inclement weather. This is a dangerous situation for everyone involved. Dave, we'll toss it back to you. We're going to keep the helicopter right on top of this guy and see where he goes next.
Yeah, we're going to stay with your picture, Bill, but we were noticing that the traffic seems relatively light considering it's 6 o'clock in the evening. And in that Laurel Canyon Boulevard was pretty empty too, which is, I guess that's the only good thing.
Much lighter than normal on some of those main service streets. So we've been on Roscoe, we've been on Laurel, we've been on Coldwater, we've been on Witsep. Those are all major thoroughfares, but much lighter than normal. This is Laurel Canyon once again. This time we're northbound on Laurel Canyon, and he's going to wind his way back up toward where the 5 and the 170 freeways split, showing no signs of slowing down. The rain has eased up for now, and that's a good situation for everyone involved. But as you can see, the roads are still very slick, very slippery, and it's still an extremely dangerous situation for everyone involved. Laurel Canyon northbound looks like he's going to make a turn. That might be a freeway on-ramp. He's made that right or eastbound turn, and that looks like Interstate 5 now. So we'll see if he goes north or southbound on the 5 from Laurel Canyon, and that's going to be the 5 southbound. So we talked about a moment ago, CHP officers with that possibility of turning that pursuit over to LAPD officers, but now that it's back on the freeway, CHP officers, this is right where they belong. They're going to stay right on top of this guy as we pick up the 5 southbound now from Laurel Canyon. South 5 a little below the 170, and he'll wind his way down toward the south end now of the San Fernando Valley. If he continues south on the 5, next major intersection, the 134 freeway, he'll drive right by the ABC7 broadcast studios, 5 and the 134 toward Glendale, and I'm not sure just exactly where he wants to go. He's clearly doing all he can to evade CHP officers, and now we're going to be in the number 3 lane, the middle lane of about 5 lanes south on the 5 as we work our way out of Sun Valley down toward Glendale and points beyond. Fortunately, as you can see, you actually don't see just a little bit of the freeway. I can see off the nose of the helicopter. Southbound traffic on Interstate 5 right now is unusually light. Maybe the case a lot of people were anticipating the rain, didn't want to get stuck in that afternoon weather, so perhaps they went home early. Maybe some folks are planning on going home late. Other folks perhaps decided to take the day off, but this is extremely light traffic for Interstate 5 as we continue south on the 5 out of Sun Valley, and we're winding our way down now toward almost the Hollywood Way off-ramp, heading into Burbank now at speeds of about 65, maybe 70 miles per hour. Not extreme excessive speeds, but he's doing all he can to stay away from CHP officers. And one thing for CHP officers to contemplate is how many other people are in that pickup truck. Clearly the driver, he could have a passenger, he could have co-conspirators, he could have people who are working with him this afternoon. He could have any number of people in the back of the pickup truck, not only on the side, but if there's in a back seat, or perhaps people on the tailgate as well. And all the windows, as you can see, are tinted, so it's almost impossible for CHP officers to glean just how many people are in that pickup truck, and if they're there on their own accord, or if they're actually being held hostage by that driver. CHP officers once again continuing southbound on Interstate 5, and now we're almost on the Southern Boulevard off-ramp. I can see the Burbank Airport off to the right, traffic up ahead. I can see as far now as the Burbank Boulevard off-ramp on Interstate 5, still very lightly traveled. You do see that one CHP officer keeping a reasonable distance from that suspect, but there are other CHP officers just behind him and police helicopters orbiting in the area as well. So it would be nearly impossible for that driver to get away. It might be one of those situations where the driver just goes and goes until he runs out of gas. He may just finally pull over and decide to give up. Either event, now time is pretty much on the side of CHP officers as they continue with light traffic southbound on Interstate 5, closing in on the Hollywood Way off-ramp. But once again, if you're just now joining
You should
us,
just
this is
stop her.
we first heard about
What's the
before
point of
6
running
p.m.
away?
That was an unsafe lane
You're
change. First reported
gonna
by
get
CHP
caught
officers
anyways, no
and
matter
we're
what.
This might be a
No matter what,
suspect.
you're gonna get caught.
Everything's kind of up in the air right now. We're still trying to
You
find
should
out
just
exactly
stop.
why they're chasing him, but those are the first 2 initial calls, and they'll continue to keep their distance. You can see the police helicopters got the night sun. They've got him lit up. There's nowhere to go, nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. Fortunately, traffic is light on the freeway as they continue south 5 now, just passing Hollywood Way.
Well, hopefully he doesn't have a full tank of gas. We've seen pursuits like this end up all the way down to San Diego County.
Yeah, we've seen these pursuits go from county to county and sometimes from country to country. There was a pursuit several years ago that went all the way crossing the San Diego border and into Tijuana, Mexico. You may recall that pursuit from several years ago where the suspect actually held a baby with a knife to its throat. Fortunately, that child was rescued. That suspect was taken into custody. but that was clearly a two-country pursuit. Began here on the California side, ended up in the Mexico side. We're continuing again, southbound 5 now. We're coming up on a little north of Burbank Boulevard. You can see the freeway is still very lightly traveled. The helicopter overhead, the police helicopter, has the night sun on, keeping that suspect very well illuminated for CHP officers just behind him. And you can see the lights on for those CHP cruisers. The sirens are blaring, and you've got to know the adrenaline must really be rushing, not only for the suspect, but clearly for CHP officers as well. They've just passed the Buena Vista off-ramp now into Burbank on the Golden State Freeway. We're southbound on Interstate 5. Once again, fortunately, the rain has eased up. It looks like the freeway is actually not so slick right now. Some of the service streets we were following earlier throughout the central part of the San Fernando Valley, they were still very wet. A front had moved through, but the rain has, fortunately for now, stopped as we continue southbound on Interstate 5. Working our way in through Burbank now from Sun Valley, and in just a matter of 2 or 3 miles, the pursuit will make it down toward the 5 and the 134 into Glendale. And once again, this is a person being pursued initially for unsafe lane changes and still unconfirmed, but possibly a grand theft auto suspect as well. In these situations, CHP officers will open up that shop for you in just a bit. They're keeping about 3 or 4 car lengths behind the suspect vehicle, the white pickup truck, but they are right there. And I can tell you, behind that CHP officer where we got framed up into the shot, there are several other CHP officers right behind him. So there's nowhere to go, there's nowhere to run. It's just a matter of time before that suspect either crashes, runs out of gas, or simply pulls over and gives up and surrenders to the CHP officers out of Altadena. We're going on now this pursuit for well over 15, maybe 20 minutes, and this guy's showing no signs of slowing down. Fortunately, even though the freeway is relatively lightly traveled right now, this is a freeway designed for maximum speeds of 65, and judging by our airspeed indicator on the helicopter, he appears to be driving about the speed limit, maybe a little faster, 65, 70, worst case scenario, maybe 75 miles per hour, but appears to be driving in just one lane, the middle lane of about 5, and just doing all he can to get away from those CHP officers, but they're right on his tail every step of the way. Now we just crossed the Burbank Boulevard off-ramps. We're about a mile, maybe a mile and a half from where the 5 and the 134 come together. And he's going to have an option at that point. Maybe he doesn't know the area, but he has a chance to go south 5. He can pick up the 134 eastbound or cross over the Ventura Freeway and continue south 5 down toward Elysian Park, Boyle Heights, East LA, and the downtown area. You can't make the merge from the South 5, I believe, onto the West 134, so it's going to be just South 5 or 134 eastbound. Because these are CHP officers out of the Altadena office, it's entirely possible this originated somewhere in the San Gabriel Valley, and he may pick up the 134 eastbound to head back toward the San Gabriel Valley, Altadena, Pasadena perhaps, which would be just a little east and northeast of our present location. But up for grabs right now, South 5 passing Burbank Boulevard, almost to Alameda and Western. And then the big decision comes up just up ahead, South 5 at the 134. David Nell, we'll see which way he goes at that point, and we'll stay right on top of it for you.
I don't know if I've ever been on the 5 at this time of the day where
Seriously.
there wasn't traffic, and this guy has found
It looks like the middle of the night. There's not a car out there.
Nobody's out there. He's just kind of strolling along. It also makes you wonder what they're thinking at this point. We always go through this when these pursuits, where he's just going to get on a straight line, he's going to drive until he can't drive any longer, and you've got to wonder what they're thinking.
Exactly.
Let him get ahead of you.
All right, and this is a white pickup truck. I guess that's a hard shell on the back. I don't think the police or CHP got a very good look at this guy because he didn't, from what I understand, actually pull over. He just took off. And he hovered around North Hollywood area for quite a while before he hopped onto the 5, and now that's where you would get him. Here, he's cruising through Glendale, about to pass by our studios, in fact, near the 134. And then if he keeps going south, then he's going to head towards Los Feliz and then downtown Los Angeles. As we said, no traffic at all. The danger here comes with the weather. It has been raining on and off throughout the day, so you know the roads are slick. But as far as we've seen, certainly he's moving faster than the traffic around him, but he hasn't done any real evasive maneuvers just yet. Nothing's too dangerous, but of course he is not stopping. We don't know how many people are in that vehicle. It's tough to tell, or the circumstances of why he's running, although we do get some more that this may be a grand theft auto suspect.
Yeah, initially I was trying to make some unsafe lane changes. They started pursuing him, and or her. We shouldn't assume it's a he, but looks like he's been driving pretty fast because he's passing everybody on that freeway. It's hard to tell how fast he's going. And when he was on surface streets, he certainly did run a few stop signs and perhaps a couple lights. And pretty dangerous in a big old SUV truck.
That's a great
on
shot
slick
right there.
streets.
This is the 5 freeway passing through Glendale, where you can see it is wide open right now at 6:11 in the evening on this no, it's
Tuesday, yeah.
Tuesday evening.
My traffic's never that light.
Never.
Ever.
Never, ever. However, you know, we're going to continue to watch this and see what the suspect is going to do. Clearly, without him pulling over and driving the way he's driving, he's a dangerous person. I mean, this is a dangerous person.
Right, and Bill, where is he right now? He's headed toward, does it look like he's going to stay on the 5?
Yeah, he's on Interstate 5 southbound now. He just crossed under the 134 in the fast lane. South 5 after the Ventura Freeway, leaving Glendale. We're crossing the LA Zoo area up ahead. It'll be the Glendale off-ramp. I believe there's a Fletcher exit as well, Los Feliz, and then down toward the Glendale Freeway. So it looks like he did not opt to go east on the 134, back toward Altadena, Pasadena, or anywhere in the San Gabriel Valley. And now he's heading down toward the Elysian Park area. We're about maybe 3.5 miles north of Dodger Stadium on the 5 freeway southbound. And although traffic was very light in the San Fernando Valley, it's actually even lighter here, which is extremely unusual. This time of the afternoon, we generally see very heavy conditions on Interstate 5, but it almost looks like a holiday, not rush hour traffic on a Tuesday afternoon. Yeah. But there he is once again at freeway speeds, maybe a little hotter, maybe a little faster than freeway speeds, is maintaining one lane, which is always a good sign in a pursuit. Whenever someone starts driving a little too erratically, quick lane changes, sometimes we'll see him going up onto the center divider, onto the right shoulder, running in and out of traffic, trying to split between all the cars. It's always an extremely dangerous situation. The fact that he's being pursued by CHP officers, that's dangerous enough. But fortunately, the weather is a little better than it was earlier. It's not raining right now. The freeway may be still a little bit wet as we're wind our way down towards Silver Lake right now, but he's holding on to that one lane. In the valley, he held on to the middle lane much of the way through Interstate 5, and now that he's crossed the 134, aiming down now toward the Glendale Freeway, the 2 appears to be just in that fast lane. Traffic much lighter than normal, and CHP officers will open up that shot for you once again to show you, illustrate once again, they're right on top of this guy. That bright light you see shining down on that white van, that's the police helicopter overhead. They've got what they call a night sun, illuminating that suspect vehicle and aiding CHP officers on the freeway, but they're right on top. There's nowhere for that suspect to go until he runs out of gas, perhaps crashes. Oftentimes they'll pull over to a neighborhood they're familiar with, even when they're unfamiliar with it, and just try and make a run for it, realizing with this traffic, there's really nowhere that he can go, that CHP officers can't go as well. As far as we know, that was someone who was, the CHP officers tried to pull him over for unsafe lane changes. And then a little before 6 p.m., we heard it turned into an actual pursuit. The guy didn't want to pull over, and there's still some discussion now that this may as well be a grand theft auto suspect. So a dangerous situation, not only for that suspect, of course, but for CHP officers who are keeping a relatively safe distance, but for everyone else who's on the freeway this afternoon. People who didn't have an idea about the pursuit happening on the freeway, they're going to happen to use. And now we're getting a little bit of light drizzle. That's going to complicate everything for everybody. Not a downpour just yet, but a little bit of light rain. And that could clearly change the game for the freeway as he moves over to one of the middle lanes now. Southbound on Interstate 5, I see the Silver Lake Reservoir off to our right. Coming up on the Glendale Freeway, looks like he's going to pass under the 2, continuing south on the 5, about 1 mile north of Dodger Stadium, and then he'll have a shot when he comes up to the 110. He can go south on the Pasadena Freeway toward downtown, or north on the Pasadena Freeway, and wind his way up toward South Pasadena and the San Gabriel Valley. Not sure exactly where he's going to go now, but he might be on a transition to take him from Interstate 5 onto the Glendale Freeway. He makes that turn to the Glendale Freeway northbound. Plenty of wide open space up ahead, all the way up to the end of the freeway, into the Crescenta Valley. And if he makes that right or southbound turn on the Glendale Freeway, that actually turns into Glendale Boulevard. The freeway comes to an end, turns into Glendale Boulevard, and that'll wind him down toward the 101 freeway into Echo Park, and then down toward downtown LA. So we're trying to size up exactly which direction he's going, and it looks like it's going to be southbound. Definitely committed to the Glendale Freeway southbound. And in less than a quarter of a mile, this is exactly where the freeway ends. Not a wise choice for that suspect to make, and this may indicate that he's not exactly familiar with the area. You saw the sign there, Glendale Boulevard. This is where the freeway turns into Glendale Boulevard. It's an extremely congested boulevard by and large, lighter than normal this afternoon, but as he winds his way down toward the 101 freeway out of Echo Park, traffic becomes very complicated this time of the afternoon. So we'll stay right on top of him, a little bit behind him, and see which turn he happens to make in the next couple of minutes here.
Yeah, and how unnerving for those drivers that are along the freeway with this chase coming up on them, and you know the lights, the sirens. It's got to be unnerving for those people. Looks like he's slowing down.
This is where he has to slow down. I think he's going to start hitting some lights and some turns right here, and then it's all surface streets from here on. So Yeah, as Bill said, I'm not sure if he knows where he's going, but it's a tricky area.